So guys, at this point, there are over 100 Godlies in Murder Mystery 2. Some of these Godlies turn out to be some people's favorite Godlies, like Candy, Sugar, Luger, Darkbringer, and just recently like the Swirly gun. But with all these amazing Godlies in Murder Mystery 2, there's gonna be some Godlies that get overlooked and not a lot of people care about them. So I kind of want to talk about the items that I feel like are the most underrated. Like the items that pretty much nobody talks about, and like the least demanded items in the game. So I did actually ask you guys over on my YouTube post, and I did get a lot of responses of what you guys think are very underrated items. So I'll be going over some of those as well. So I want to go right in and go to what I feel like is probably one of the most underrated items. This is definitely the item that the most amount of people said in my comment section, and that is the Ice Shard Godly. Legit, everyone thinks that this is one of the most underrated items in the game, and I can agree. If you guys are wondering why people don't care about this item, it's because it's from Christmas 2017, which was a pretty meh update in my opinion. But like I just talked about in a recent video, this was a very long event. This event lasted for months long, and after the Christmas event ended, you could still spend your Robux on things until like August. Like over halfway through 2018, you could buy stuff for Christmas 2017. So this Christmas item, you were able to buy it for like 9 months straight, bro. Not to mention, it's just not a cool looking Godly in my opinion. But fun fact, Ice Shard might actually be one of Nicholas's favorite Godlies in the game, since his Twitter profile picture actually has him using Ice Shard as well as Blaster. But I did say that Christmas is a lackluster year in my opinion, and I'm gonna go out and say that all of the Godlies in Christmas 2017 are underrated. The Snowflake, the Frost Saber, and even the Winter's Edge, I feel like no one really talks about. These are some of those underrated items in my opinion. Because again, the event lasted for so long, longer than the 2021 Christmas event, which is still ongoing. And I feel like that this update was home to some of the ugliest looking items in my opinion. Frost Saber is kind of ugly. Snowflake is alright, but also kind of ugly. I like Winter's Edge personally, but also these are all just catalog items. Like I said, there's so many ice items in the game, and the only Godlies that were released in Christmas 2017 were ice items. Like nothing else for Christmas, it was just ice. Let me know if you actually care about any of the Christmas 2017 items. I do like Winter's Edge personally, but this is probably the most underrated unboxable Godly, since of course you could get this by unboxing. Next, I want to go over an item that I'm not 100% sure how underrated it is, since it does actually have a lot of value to it right now. It is a brand new item. You can still get to this day because it's from the Christmas update, but I want to talk about Swirly Blade. Because of course, if you think about Swirly items, you usually only think of Swirly Gun and Swirly Axe. Chroma Swirly Gun if you're feeling fancy. But no one really cares about the Swirly Blade. I mean, people might care about the Swirly Blade. Maybe like hardcore collectors care about it, since it's super expensive right now. On Supreme Values, it's the best non-chroma Godly in the game right now. It's probably a Swirly Blade is so expensive to get in the game. You needed 100,000 gifts. That's more gifts than getting the Swirly Axe, and you also got every item from the main event as well. I did say that Winter's Edge is probably one of those underrated unboxable items, but there are a couple more underrated unboxable items in my opinion. And some of these are still obtainable to this day. I kind of want to talk about Saw and Chroma Saw. Saw is actually one of my favorite Godlies in the game. I don't actually own it right now. When I first started playing the game, Saw was my dream item, I'll be real. But now this is the least valuable unboxable Godly in the game. It's literally like the same value as a lot of shop Godlies in the game right now. It's even worse than Winter's Edge right now. I don't know why, because Saw is a really cool Godly. It's legit a futuristic mechanical chainsaw, bro. That is so cool. That's probably one of the coolest unboxable items we've ever seen, because most of them are just knives and swords and stuff, but this one is a legit chainsaw. And also Chroma Saw as well is the least valuable chroma in the game. Even less valuable the Chroma Gingerblade and Chroma Bone Blade, which I thought that could never happen. But Chroma Saw is also so cool. It reminds me of like rainbow keyboards, since you know there are a lot of keyboards like all rainbow. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that because it's like a mechanical chainsaw, but like the inside piece is a rainbow. It's so cool. People also say that Gemstone is underrated. I know I don't really like Gemstone to be honest, but I will admit that it's kind of underrated. Not a lot of people talk about Gemstone, but for good reason. I don't really like how it looks, to be fair. I wanted to talk about an Eternal, since of course there's 5 Eternals in the game. One of them have to be underrated. And I feel like the most underrated Eternal is Eternal 2. Why do I have 7 of these? I don't really know. But I'll be real, out of all the Eternals, it's definitely the one that people talk about the least. And it's a very ugly, low quality Eternal. It's literally a low quality version of Eternal 3. Like, why would you want Eternal 2 over Eternal 3? Yeah, it's a very ugly item in the game. Probably one of the ugliest items in Murder Mystery. And similar with Eternals, I want to talk about some Seers as well, since there are a lot of Seers in the game. One of them has to be underrated. But I actually picked 2 of them that I feel like are the most underrated, and that is Purple Seer and Yellow Seer. You could also argue that Orange Seer is also underrated, but I've seen people with a good amount of Orange Seers, so I cut that one off. But usually when people want to get Seers, they'll usually go for like Red Seer or Blue Seer. And I mean, to be fair, yellow is a pretty underrated color. Not a whole lot of people's favorite color is yellow. I'll be real. Let me know if yellow is your favorite color, because I want to know. Purple Seer is low-key kind of good, but I don't really see a whole lot of people with this. And even though purple is a cool color, a lot of people's favorite color is purple, but honestly, I don't see this one around compared to like Blue Seer. I feel like Blue Seer, besides normal Green Seer, is probably the most common Seer in the game. And yo guys, I'm gonna be real, 2017 Murder Mystery 2 items feel like a blur to me. Like pretty much all of the 2017 MM2 items are underrated in my opinion. All of the Christmas 2017 ones, and I'm also gonna go out and say that all the Halloween 2017 Godlies are underrated as well. Pumpkin and Hallows Blade, not a lot of people talk about these. You could also argue that even Hallows Edge is underrated nowadays, but you know, Hallows Edge is my favorite Godly, and yeah, I would say it's kind of underrated, but I feel like Hallows Blade is a lot more underrated than Hallows Edge in my opinion. I will say the Hallows Blade had like one of the coolest ways to obtain an item. You needed 100 candies from last year to get it. That was really cool. And also Pumpkin's legit a crescendo knife from Roblox, but they made it Halloween themed. That was really cool how they did that. I do feel like a lot of old Murder Mystery items don't get a lot of praise, and they are items from the catalog. You've probably seen these items from other games, which is why a lot of people don't want to use them in MM2. But now I want to talk about shop Godlies. Most shop Godlies I feel like are super underrated. The ones I have listed are Frostbite, Ghostblade, Bioblade, Nightblade, and Pixel specifically. You can even argue that things like Prismatic and Heartblade and also Cookie Blade could seem pretty underrated as well. The most underrated ones I definitely have to give to Frostbite and Ghostblade. Legit, no one talks about these items, bro. Like, when was the last time you see someone equipping this, bro? That's actually a very small looking knife, low-key Ghostblade. I also want to talk about Ginger Blade and Ginger Luger. This is probably one of the most underrated sets in the game. And of course, Ginger Blade was an unboxable from 2018. Also, Ginger Luger was a craftable item. I think you needed Luger plus, I think like a gingerbread item you got from crafting, I think, and then you get Ginger Luger or something. I didn't play a whole lot of 2018 Christmas, I'll be real. I also gotta say that a lot of items from 2015 are pretty underrated as well, like the Spider. Spider is definitely one of the cooler items in the game, in my opinion. I really like Spider. But you know, not a lot of people talk about it, legit. It is very simplistic. For one, it's a catalog item. But I do really like how the guard is like spider legs. That's really cool. But also, a lot of 2015 Christmas items are underrated. Not candy and sugar. Those ones are pretty overrated, honestly. But items like Handsaw, Chill, and Xmas, to be specific, are very underrated. Even though Handsaw and Chill used to be one of the most overrated items in the game. Before duping became a thing, these are some of the most duped items in the game. Because like these items legit used to be over 1,000 value back then. But now, they're like less than 50 nowadays. Like, no one really cares about these items anymore. Unfortunately, they were really cool back in the day, though. I'll be real. Xmas isn't really like low demanded, but like you don't see a whole lot of people talk about Xmas compared to like a lot of the other Christmas Godlies. I'll be real. And then one of the final items I do have to talk about is the Flames Knife. This was an item you got from crafting that got removed for season 1. You needed heat and tide to get this. But what's weird is that Flames is doing worse than heat and tides individually, bro. Even though you need both of those to get Flames. Legit, anyone that crafted Flames like took a real L. I mean, I crafted Flames back in the day and I kind of regret doing that, I'll be real. But Flames was really high demand back in the day, similar to Chill and Handsaw. It was definitely one of the highest demanded items in the game back then, but not anymore. But guys, the final item I feel like the most underrated item in the game is Nyx scythe. I never see anyone with this item. Legit, no one has it equipped, no one has it in their inventory. I never see it in trades. That must mean it's underrated, right? That's how this works, right? Hey, I made this video. I can say what's underrated and what's not, alright, boys? But yeah, those are pretty much all of the underrated items, in my personal opinion. Big shout out to anyone that left comments on my community post saying what they feel like are underrated items, because I did get a lot of these from those comments, so thank you guys for that. And if there's an item that I didn't say was underrated, make sure to let me know what item you feel like is the most underrated, and I might hear your comment. I mean, who knows? I've been recording for over 21 minutes, so this might be a long video, so I'm gonna end off here. So until next time, goodbye. Ouch.